Yeah, that's definitely me.
Where does the time go by? How is it already 19? What the heck?
Not too long ago, I changed this light bulb to have a nice orange color. I wasn't filming, but trust me, I had it on orange. But for some reason, the app always changes it to a cooler color, and right now, it has decided for a Shrek green. I don't want Shrek vibes right now. Well, so much for orange, but this will do. Feeling a little sick, so I had to grab me some tea. I've been kind of looking at my habit list that I made 2 weeks ago. Let's just break this down, shall we? You can clearly see, I wish I had that one pointer where you're pointing. Okay, well, I'm just gonna insert the meme because I cannot explain for the life of me. But anyway, it's a pointer with a finger. I wish I had that right now. But the point is, I can clearly see that I have been studying my STEM subjects, so this is everything related to science, engineering, and math. I have been studying that, but I haven't been reaching that 1 hour, so I'll study, let's say, for 20 to 30 minutes, but let's just say something will come up and I just won't have the energy throughout the day to reach this hour. So I can clearly say that this habit has absolutely failed, and we're gonna try to reduce the time to maybe even just 15 minutes because 1 hour is just way too much. So this also project work, 1 hour, I think we're gonna put it down to 30 minutes. This code as well, I'm gonna put it down to 15 minutes. So we're gonna try to make these bite-sized, because it's clearly that all the other things that are relatively, well, ignore the no phone after 9. I'll explain that in a bit, why it's also a fail. But overall, I can see that the ones that have less friction are the easiest to do. Journaling is also quite easy, but I think I might just put it down to 5 minutes, because 15 minutes clearly is also too much for me. This, in a nutshell, is just a summary of me doing too much, and you need to put these into bite-sized pieces, because the thing is, consistency is key, and it's not really about how long you're doing it, but how you progress each day, and that you do something, and then later on you can increase the time if you have time for it. Exactly. So anyway, we're learning as we go, so it is what it is.
Jesus Christ!
Also, how is it possible? I feel like it was just yesterday that I cleaned this place. And
I'm blind, so I apologize for the glare that you will see soon. I mean, you can see it now, but anyway. And I also apologize that my thoughts are a little bit going like this throughout the whole video, aka all over the place, because I have not written a script for this, so I'm kind of just winging it just like I am my life, but it is what it is. But we are not trying to wing our life, if that makes sense. to build a simplified system. What I meant by that is I essentially want to have a nice routine where I do the same thing throughout majority of the subjects that I'm just trying to study for, but essentially kind of simplify my life, kind of like how Steve Jobs and all those rich people wear the same clothes all the time. Not necessarily to that extent, but almost, if that makes sense. I'm trying to do that with my goals at the moment. So not long ago, I made a video, I hope I'm not gonna rant too long, but I made a video about how I explained that I felt like a pretty shitty engineer. Pardon my French, but I felt pretty inadequate. English,
motherfucker, do you speak it?
Anyway, I just got overwhelmed by, you know, being surrounded by such talented engineers, majority of them having more than 25 years of work experience in that same field, and me being a biomedical engineer who just happened to show up at a electrical engineering job knowing nothing. Obviously, you're gonna feel a little bit, you know, like an outcast. Me being a girl also makes me feel kind of a little bit of an outcast. Anyway, I've been really grateful for this job, and it's been eye-opening. One of them, the fact that it's been eye-opening, it's made me realize that I really need to fix a little bit of how I do things, all right? Because I have no direction, if that makes sense. I've gone to school and I followed what the teachers say, and I've done the exam for 25, I'm 25 now. I went to university at 22. So I've done the same thing. It's only natural that I don't actually know what's a good system. And now we're trying to do that. We're trying to figure what is a good system for me. For everyone, it's different, but this is what we're trying to aim for, and I want to share that with you guys. System, essentially, it will help me become who I want to be, and that's one, at least a better engineer that probably knows how to do math. So we're gonna start with those two. However, there's a lot of other things that I wish to accomplish, and I don't necessarily want to share them on camera, but the thing is, I have a lot of things I want to do, and it's a little bit overwhelming, but we're gonna try to build a very simplified system so that it's less overwhelming, if that makes any sense. But before that, we all know that I'm really not that motivated to go back into university because, one, I kind of feel like I gravitate more towards electrical engineering than I do biomedical engineering, but because it was quite simple to just continue my biomedical engineering master's degree, I will be going to university next year. But I'm gonna take it slow. However, the first thing that we have to do, because it is nice, and we're gonna customize our Notion page, and I'm going to show you guys little tips and tricks about how I make my Notion page a little cute. If you're not interested in this, feel free to skip, but it's just one way about something about making things cute that keeps me motivated. I mean, for other people, it might be upgrading their PC or updating their screen, but for me, it's just the cute things in life that makes me feel a little bit better and a little bit motivated, as childish as it may be. Okay, but anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so hopefully this is working, but essentially this is my homepage. I have been using this homepage for about 2 to 3 years, and it's been working just fine. I see everything, my hobbies, my life. I literally do everything on Notion, and that's okay. But I feel that I could maybe simplify this in a sense that I see mainly just what I do every day. So, and that's work. So I was thinking, and I made this the other day, that I would do a main homepage, which I can view everything, and then I have my work homepage. Now, if you're wondering where I get these gifts, there are a few functions that I will show you shortly, which I use on Notion, I would say all the time, and I think you guys can survive with that as well. If you would like me to make videos on how to structure databases and whatnot, I can show you guys. However, there's some great videos online, and I can link them below. Notion is completely free, so that's one reason I like to use it. Anyway, continuing with the video, I've decided that to simplify my system, I would make a new work homepage where I have everything related to my studies, my life, everything that I should remember, because sometimes I have trouble remembering, especially when there's so much on my plate. So I've been doing these weekly, so I've been making this weekly to-do thing, and I've been using this now for at least a year. Essentially, this is just a calendar view with a automatic default page that I made, which I can show you guys later, but it's not that important, but I'm just going to show you. Essentially, this is what each default weekly to-do page looks like, and it shows you what I need to have done within that week. And this has been handy. I've been using this for school, and it's nice because I get to kind of organize my to-dos. Let's say I'll have a to-do and I'll make hello. That's my medium priority. I can also have a subtask, which is subtask hello. Again, underneath it, and it's super motivating because I can just see everything get ticked off one by one. The problem with this was that sometimes I would there would be too many tasks on my to-do, and that was bad, but I still think that this is great because the high priority ones are usually the ones that I have to tackle first, and then if I want to make a long list, then I'll put them in medium and low priority. I'm just going to show you guys how I decorate my Notion setup, and I'm going to show you a few functions that Notion has. So the first one I use a lot is call out, and so this essentially is just these little borders. I'm not exactly sure what else this is used for, but I personally use it for just kind of having a little box of text, and let's say I'll put I don't know, shortcuts. I have shortcuts, other links, it doesn't matter, things to make things cute. And you can add underneath text, any kind of text, anything, to be honest. I get my GIFs and all these little small emojis, or not emojis, icons, I would say, from Pinterest. And there are also other ways to implement GIFs here. For example, you can use the image function on Notion and go to Giphy straight away, and you can type in, let's say I like Ghibli, so I'm going to type in Ghibli and you put Totoro, for example, there. I have now Sailor Moon theme because it's something that makes me happy. I used to watch Sailor Moon when I was young, so don't judge me, but this is just one way. Then another thing that I use is toggle function. So essentially when I'm making active recall list, let's say I have a term here, and then I open it and I type in the answer. And this is nice. You can hide the answer just like that. There are other ways to make your toggle cute, or just toggle cute. I mean, change the color if you want to make it cute, but you can use different kinds of toggles. Like if you want to set up, let's say, a toggle with a certain kind of heading, so now it's a little bit bigger, let's say like term, maybe that term's more important than the other term, I don't know. But anyway, that's what I use. And let's see, what else do I use? If you're wondering how to get the links like that, we're gonna just type in, we're just gonna do a regular, let's say, link, and then you're gonna highlight it, and here you're gonna find a add link, and then you can add whatever link that is. So that's a few things. What else? Here I have, essentially, if you see the arrow, that means that the main page is somewhere else, and so I just call it with I think it's page and then link to page, so you can link it from another place. So essentially you don't have to have a new page with the same, they're linked together, which means that they're the same page, but it's just from another view, if that makes sense. I hope that I explained that. I'm pretty bad at explaining on the spot, but we're winging this because we have to film this YouTube video this week. I'm very behind on my YouTube videos. Anyway, here I have things for do ASAP and reminders because I'm just bad at remembering stuff. And of course, you can argue and say that why don't you just use it on Google Calendar? And yes, but Google Calendar is not as cute. And also I have been using Google Calendar for, you know, just in general, like reminders. I'll set a reminder that I have some meeting at this certain time, and it works for that, for giving me those reminders. However, I had a point where I planned my whole life on Google Calendars, and it was really overwhelming. So I'm trying to build a system again that's not overwhelming, that also makes me kind of want to work and want to study, so that I'm trying to, you know, make my life a little bit more simpler. I mean, you may argue that this is not simple, but this helps me romanticize my life. Okay, so this is one way I do it. Maybe you guys are a little bit different. We can go ahead and I'm gonna show you guys also how I plan my courses. Here are some courses for my master's degree. I mean, some of them are interesting, some of them are boring. We're not going to get into it anyway, but here I've made a database for myself for these courses. And yeah, I mean, I can go on and on, but I feel like this video will probably be 25 minutes long. I can show you guys on another video.